First of all, I'm curious how all of this, get into your background a little bit and how this all came up on your radar when it comes to underdiagnosed or delayed diagnosis in women when it comes to heart disease, and how it kind of led you to where you are today.
Yes, no, thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here to share about this. Well, this all started because uh, sharing a bit about my background, I am proudly named Alicia after my grandma. She dedicated her life to women's health as an obstetrician, and we lost her to a heart attack when I was 13 years old. It was sudden, without warnings, and we didn't really talk about it. It was until years later, when I was at MIT's Computational Cardiovascular Research Group, that I realized how common her story really is, which is all of the statistics you just shared. Heart disease is the #1 killer of women worldwide, and it has been historically overlooked. At MIT, we had access to some of the largest data sets used today for clinical decision making, and they were mainly composed of male cohorts. 1 in every 4 clinical trial participants were female. And that's when it really clicked for me that there's a data gap. And as artificial intelligence helps turbocharge digital health, there's actually a danger that these algorithms that are trained with mostly male data sets will actually perpetuate these problems. And we also saw the exciting opportunity because, AI thrives on patterns and women's lives are full of them, from our menstrual cycles to pregnancies to menopause. Women's physiology is dynamic, and we've been historically ignoring them. So we did start this thinking that for every woman that symptoms have been dismissed, that the data was missing or unrecognized, and now her heart story can be rewritten through science and technology and understanding.
So how are you doing it? How are you doing it at Bloomer Tech? What is the technology that you're using? How are you harnessing the data and using AI right now in a way to try to prevent this from happening?
Yes. So we started by building a device that was, since its inception, thinking about how to better collect data from female physiology, right? So we designed it in a wearable form factor that it looks and feels like an everyday bra. It can be a nursing bra, a tank top to sleep, or just a regular everyday bra or a sports bra. And it has all of these sensors all around her torso, looking at her heart, lungs, hormones, metabolism, right? Because we wanted to optimize how we are collecting data from a woman.
So tell us about...
We call it the Bloomer Tag, which is the acronym for Tech Augmented Garment.
Yeah, fascinating. We're showing, for those who are listening on radio, of course, can't see the pictures, but showing some images of what you guys are doing. You're in the testing phase. So tell us about kind of what you have found out, how accurate it is, how useful it is. Data for data, alone is not necessarily helpful, but give us an idea of what you're finding as you go through the test phase.
Yeah, I always think that the data for data alone, it's noise, right? Like we really want data to understand what's going on. And like you said at the beginning, because women are having worse outcomes compared to men her same age after a cardiac episode, we really needed to see how we look at these female patterns and what are we really striving for. So when we built this device, we've taken the device through clinical validation. So we've done clinical studies so that we can prove the medical grade quality of our sensors because they're all textile based. And for us, it's more about generating digital biomarkers that understand female physiology with all of the accumulated evidence that we've had over the last 30 years on how heart disease presents differently in women. So amazing work from cardiologists and researchers has demonstrated that most of the modern cardiology today is focused on blockages in larger arteries.
Right.
But the reality is that women have heart disease in the smaller vessels. So all of these patterns, understanding them really well and being able to use a cardiac monitor that is comfortable, continuous to identify these patterns is, for us, it's really important because we can change the way that we deliver care today in finding these conditions at an earlier stage and not when the disease has become so severe that now you're ineligible for certain therapies that you would have been eligible if you find them earlier.
Alicia, I want to ask you, we've got a couple of minutes left here, but is this something that the FDA signs off on? And I'm just curious, and is it something that healthcare plans will pay for this, that doctors respect the data that comes in? Walk us through that, because that's something that really speaks to viability, right? In terms of
so we've made it to be
tool.
like a Holter monitor. So it's more on that stream of a medical device, with the reality that unlike the Holter monitor, right, like a patient can be seen because it has the ability to collect data from the reports and that give more information to the cardiologist so that they can provide better standpoints and logs about what's actually going on, what her symptoms are when she's feeling chest pain or any other symptom.
Does the healthcare community, do doctors, do medical professionals respect the data that comes in? That's what I'm just curious about. What you're hearing.
Yeah, so that's why we've done clinical studies. So to prove the clinical validation so that they see that this is equivalent to any other medical grade technology. And at the same time, we're very focused on demonstrating all of the evidence on our digital biomarker pipeline.
I know, because everybody's probably I'm thinking in my control room, what would something like this cost? We've only got about 30 seconds.
So this is very similar to when you would get a Holter monitor at the doctor's office.
Which costs what? I have no idea. What do those things cost?
Insurance pays for it.
Yeah, insurance pays for it, and it depends on the state.